Hi there, my name is Paijani and I'm the Director of Educational Initiatives for the Canadian Organization of Undergraduate Health and Research, also known as COUHR. COUHR is an organization that helps students gain research opportunities and skills through our summer research programs and community engagement projects, such as this one. Today, my friend Carmen and I are here to educate you on a very important issue happening in our world today, the coronavirus, also known as COVID-19. I will also talk about how Calgary has responded to this virus. So what is a virus? A virus is a very tiny particle that carries its DNA and RNA, which is the genetic material in your cells. A virus comes in all shapes and sizes and is usually covered by a protein coat called a capsid. Even though a virus has its own genetic material, it is not alive because in order for something to be alive, it must grow and reproduce on its own. Our bodies are composed of tissues, like our skin, that are made up of millions of tiny cells. In order for the virus to grow and reproduce, it enters our cells, hijacks our cellular machinery, and makes copies of themselves. How it enters is by attaching to a receptor on the cell's surface. Eventually, there are so many copies of the virus inside the cell that it causes the cell to explode. These new replicates of the virus will then leave to infect other cells.
What makes the coronavirus different from other viruses? The coronavirus is a specific type of virus that got its name from its crown-like appearance. It contains RNA and is enveloped in a layer of fat with spiky protrusions that specifically bind to a human cell. The first case of this virus was recorded at a seafood market in Wuhan, China, where it was most likely transmitted from an animal. The coronavirus targets intestinal, nasal passage, and lung cells in your body and breaks them apart. The coronavirus is a lot more contagious and more harmful than the common flu. Transmission is person to person through respiratory droplets like coughs, sneezes, and talks. If these droplets land on someone else's mouth, eyes, or ears, they can become infected. That is why the government recommends you to be 2 meters apart from someone you don't regularly meet. The vulnerable individuals are those who are immunocompromised, which means they have a weaker immune system. These can be individuals like your grandparents or people with diabetes. Ways to avoid spreading it are properly washing your hands with soap or sanitizer after touching a surface, wearing a mask in public when around others, and trying not to touch your face and other people, like giving a high five. The government of Alberta says that symptoms of COVID-19 are a sore throat, fever, cough, difficulty in breathing, and runny nose. If you have any of these symptoms, you are legally required to isolate yourselves for at least 10 days.
How do our bodies fight the virus? Our immune system fights the virus by recruiting special white blood cells called immune cells. These cells circulate your body looking for infections. They have specialized receptors on their surface that help them recognize infected cells. When the receptor detects a viral protein, the immune cells kill the virus in 2 ways: by releasing toxic factors to kill the infected cell, or by eating them up. Your immune system can also kill the virus by causing the body temperature to rise, which is why you feel so hot when you have a fever. Another way the immune system kills the virus is by making antibodies that recognize and destroy the foreign particles. Immune cells, called memory B cells, will remember the appearance of the virus, so if you get infected by the same virus again in the future, the body will attack the virus even before it causes any damage. Therefore, you won't feel sick for the second time. This is why you don't get chickenpox again. When everyone becomes immune, it's called herd immunity. In severe and rare cases of the coronavirus, the immune system can get overwhelmed and cause immune cells to attack your healthy cells too. This causes cellular destruction in lungs and disrupts oxygen transport to the lungs, leading to pneumonia or, in rare cases, death.
So how do we prevent the spread of COVID-19? The most efficient way would be a vaccine, but there's no vaccine made for the coronavirus yet. The next best thing is social distancing. This way, we are not infecting anyone or getting infected by anyone. If we don't socially distance, we will achieve herd immunity in a shorter time, but there will be more deaths. If we do socially distance, it might take longer to achieve herd immunity, but there will be less deaths. Why is testing so important? Getting tested allows COVID to be monitored and helps the Alberta government get one step ahead of the game. The results from the data help predict where the coronavirus is and where it might target next. The more tests that are done, the more is known about the individuals who have it.
So, what is happening in Calgary right now? In Calgary, on July 17th, there were 5,785 individuals in total who have had the virus. Out of the total, only about 7% of the individuals have coronavirus on that day. 91% individuals have recovered back to normal health, and 2% of individuals have unfortunately died. Around the end of April, we had the most cases in Alberta, but thanks to social distancing and being careful, our cases have lowered. For the past few months, as many of you know, all public places were shut down and everything was done from home, including school. Now that the number of cases are lower and people need to work again to pay their bills, the city is working to slowly open businesses again. In fact, recently, the Alberta government announced that K-12 schools will reopen in September 2020 for in-class learning. Here is the relaunch strategy for Alberta. Stage 1 was reopening some businesses and services like clothing and furniture stores, farmers market, restaurants, and playgrounds. These places are open but allow less people inside at a time than usual. Currently, we are on Stage 2, which is further reopening of businesses like libraries, movie theaters, community halls, and gyms. The maximum number of people that can be in indoor gatherings like community halls is 50 people, and 100 people maximum in outdoor events like wedding ceremonies. Major festivals, concerts, sporting tournaments, and amusement parks are not open because that exceeds the maximum number of people, and risk of transmission increase. Stage 3 is still to come, and this is the full reopening of businesses, festivals, tournaments, and traveling, but with restrictions. We don't want to go too crazy. We should still maintain physical distance. Calgary's goal is to go back to as much normal as we can. We want to achieve the flat part on this graph called a plateau. A plateau will indicate to us that the infection rate has slowed or even stopped. We want to stay at a plateau until a vaccine is made or until there are no more active cases left in Calgary. The ultimate goal is to achieve herd immunity with a vaccine.
So more about the vaccine. There are many different types of vaccines, but essentially a vaccine is a fake virus that is introduced to your body. It's not really the real virus, but carries the same markers as the real virus. This allows the immune system to detect and remember this mark, so the next time a virus were to infect your body, your immune system would remember the virus's mark and react to it immediately in order to destroy it. This will give you immunization to the virus. Scientists around the world are working on developing a vaccine for the COVID-19, but there are still months to go. The World Health Organization predicts that a vaccine will be developed and distributed all around the world by next year, but that date can change. You might be wondering, why does it take so long to produce a vaccine? Well, first of all, developing a substance that mimics the identity of a virus is difficult and exhausting in itself. Second of all, developing a vaccine is a multi-stage process. It involves multiple trials with animals and then humans. The human trials start with a small number of volunteers being tested on, and then a larger group, and then even a larger group. This is important to ensure there are no bad side effects and that the vaccine is safe to use. Then, mass producing the vaccine is another barrier that will cause the time to get the vaccine to increase. Our scientific community is coming up with a unique way to create the vaccine and is attempting to finalize a vaccine in around a year, which is a record-breaking time to make a vaccine. Usually, it can take around 4 years to vaccinate individuals. Once vaccines are administered, it can give you immunity. Vaccines for other members of the coronavirus family were found to provide immunity for 1 to 3 years, so it's likely the COVID-19 vaccine can do the same.
This is the current plan for Alberta, but what is your role? Until a vaccine is not made, we can never be 100% sure that the virus will increase its spread again or if it will mutate into something more harmful or less harmful. There's still a lot that we need to learn about this virus, and new research is coming in every day. It is up to you to follow the rules and be aware of the changes Calgary will experience in the next few months. Despite the circumstances, we still have so much to be thankful for. We live in an amazing and beautiful country. If you are feeling bored at home, remember that you are lucky to have a home. With all our citizens following the proper guidelines, we can defeat this virus together.